What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and I hope you're all doing well today. The fourth and final season of Shadowlands is upon us, which means every day brings us ever closer to Dragonflight's launch. For now, though, we have a number of renovated dungeons and raids to keep us preoccupied, with many old dungeons making a returning debut as part of the lineup for our final Mythic Plus season. With these dungeons, a brand new affix has emerged, Shrouded. The new affix is present on Mythic Keystones levels 10 and higher, and cause Dreadlords to conceal their identity as regular enemies throughout all the dungeons, though most of them do a pretty bad job at it. So bad of a job, in fact, that there are broker bounty hunters waiting for you to beat them up so they can wrangle them and put them in Pokeballs or something, I don't know. For every Nathrezim enemy that you find and defeat in that dungeon, you'll be given a stacking stat buff. You'll see a broker NPC at the beginning of your dungeon once the key is started, and you can choose between a bounty reward of Critical Strike, Haste, Mastery, or Versatility. Each bounty stack that you get from defeating the Dreadlords will give you a set amount of that stat. Haste and Critical Strike bounties each reward 2% of their respective stat. Versatility will give you 1%, and Mastery gives you 69 giggity points, since Mastery scales differently for each class and they didn't want it to just be a flat percent for Mastery. Due to this, Mastery is also the only stat that will be affected by the diminishing secondary stat returns if you already have a lot of Mastery on your gear or have trinkets that proc it, because percent-based gains do not actually count the same way in regards to your character stats. To find the Dreadlords in your dungeon, you'll need to keep an eye out for enemies with a purple glowy aura around their heads. They'll also have the disguised debuff on their nameplate as well. When you engage one in combat, the Dreadlord will reveal its true form. The Nathrezim Infiltrators have 3 moves. Vampiric Claws is an attack that will heal the Dreadlord for 300% of the damage dealt, so ideally your tank should have some form of a damage mitigation up so this doesn't cause the Dreadlord to heal more than necessary. Carrion Swarm is a big frontal attack. It has a purple and green particle-y effect to it, and if you're hit by it, you'll take a bunch of shadow damage and get the Carrion Swarm magic debuff. This reduces healing received by 50%. So if you do get hit, then you'll want to be dispelled or use an immunity like Cloak of Shadows or something to remove it, especially if there is any unavoidable damage incoming. Lastly, and most annoyingly, is Nightmare Cloud. This is a slow-moving purple puddle that creeps around on the ground, and if you step on it, you'll be put to sleep for 6 seconds. And 6 seconds might not sound like a long time until you're in a Mythic Plus key, and then it feels like 8 years. If you do get put to sleep, then your healer will need to dispel this effect. When you defeat an Infiltrator, your Broker Bounty Hunter buddy will appear and trap the Dreadlord, and you'll receive 1 stack of your chosen stat bounty as a reward. You will also get the Restoration buff, which restores 6% health and mana every second over 5 seconds, so that's a total return of 30% health and mana for the whole group. This should help alleviate some of the mana concerns that healers might have in Season 4, since people probably got really used to having restoring literally all your mana and health whenever you killed them in Season 3, and you killed them a bunch. There is also one big bad Dreadlord mini-boss named Zul'gamux. She has way more health than your average Dreadlord, and has different moves as well. Frankly, she's kind of a major pain to deal with, but as compensation, you get 3 stacks of your Dreadlord bounty when you defeat her. Unless you picked the versatility buff, which in my testing was only giving 2 stacks I think for some reason, but you also do receive a beefy version of the restoration buff. This version instead will heal you for 20% and restore 20% of your mana every second for 5 seconds, so this is a completely full top-up for the whole group. For abilities, her main move is Shadow Claws, which causes her attacks to deal additional shadow damage every second over 12 seconds, and this is a stacking magic debuff that will need to be removed from the tank. It stacks really quickly, so if you're a healer or tank, then just be mindful of that. The big annoyance with Zul'gamux is Blood Barrier. This is a huge absorb shield that she'll put up, and while it's active, she will deal damage to all players and heal herself in the process. You'll need to burn through this shield quickly and interrupt the cast so she doesn't heal too much. This shield has already been nerfed once in the first 2 days, and I wouldn't be surprised if it got nerfed again because she casts it a lot. So her already large health pool is actually even larger due to all this free healing that she's gonna get. If you have a rogue in your group, then they should switch to Wound Poison when this ad is pulled to reduce the amount of healing she's gonna receive. Any other Mortal Wound style effects will be great too. So for instance, if you have an Arms Warrior, then this heal should be pretty minimal. Or if you have a Hunter, then I suggest getting a pet like a Scorpid or a Crocolisk, as both of them can apply the Mortal Wounds debuff, as well as be your Lust pet since they're both Ferocity type. Shadowy Eruption is her other move, and it's a big old plain AoE purpley circle that goes off fairly often, but if you're hit by it, not only does it do damage, but it gives you a debuff that makes you receive 70% less healing for 10 seconds. This should also be magic damage, as I was able to immune it with Cloak of Shadows, but otherwise, if you do get hit with this, you should get dispelled if you're a baddie, and if your healer is feeling generous enough to do so. Lastly is Hypnosis Bat. This little sucker is going to pick someone and try to convert them into an enemy. If it finishes the hypnosis cast, the targeted player will become a hostile target. So your best solution to prevent this is to just CC the bat with anything immediately once it spawns. If you stun or use an incapacitation effect on it, the cast is going to stop immediately, and then the bat's just going to float around like a dingus from my experience with it so far, so always keep an eye on its cast bar. If for some reason this cast does go off, the other player isn't mind controlled when they get hypnosis, but you can hit them with AoE moves by accident, so don't accidentally kill them and just try to kill Zul'gamux quickly. And also take care of the bat. As a couple final quick notes, if you accidentally clicked on the wrong bounty at the beginning of the dungeon, then you can talk to that broker again really quick and change your choice before you start doing all the key. If you completely forget to click on the broker, it just gives you versatility automatically from my experience. I'm not sure if that was because versatility is always my highest stat, or if it just automatically defaults to versatility, but that's what happened to me in the first couple keys when I completely spaced out and didn't click on it. Overall, this affix is, it's fine, I guess. It's simple enough, and other than Zul'gamux, the other Dreadlords are pretty low in health, and can be focused down quickly for free stats, healing, and mana. Some dungeons can be a bit annoying, especially in close quarters like Grimrail Depot, and there's also the annoying bit where the purple shadow puddles that put you to sleep will sometimes be hidden under other objects, like the carpets in Karazhan, or in water like in Solia's Gambit. Regardless, it's a pretty non-invasive, inoffensive affix to wrap up the final season of Shadowlands. I hope this information proves useful to you folks. If so, please consider leaving a like, or maybe even a comment if you want, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet, as they're all tremendously appreciated and helpful to the channel's growth. Also, if you want to see some of this new affix in action, or just rogue stuff in general, then I recommend checking out my Twitch streams sometime. I'll be doing quite a lot of keys in the following weeks, as well as other WoW stuff on both that channel and this one. As always, my appreciation and gratitude to all of my viewers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.